Taxi Driver's Existentialist Themes. Taxi Driver, a cinematic masterpiece. Taxi Driver, directed by Martin Scorsese and starring Robert De Niro and Jodie Foster, was released in 1976. De Niro plays Travis Bickle, a cab driver in New York City who gradually slips into his own insanity. To escape himself, Bickle frees a young prostitute, played by Jodie Foster, from the clutches of her pimp. Screenwriter Paul Schrader drew inspiration for the film from his own experiences living in New York City, Arthur Bremer's Diaries, and Jean-Paul Sartre's existentialist classic Nausea. And the latter would surely have an impact on Taxi Driver's philosophical ideas. Travis Bickle, the existentialist hero. Travis Bickle is a Vietnam War veteran looking for purpose in New York City. He despises low-life degenerates such as prostitutes, pimps, gangsters, and so on. To distract himself from his despair and insomnia, he becomes a cab driver, working arduous 12-hour shifts 7 days a week. In his journal, he writes, "Loneliness has followed me my whole life, everywhere. In bars, in cars, sidewalks, stores, everywhere. There's no escape. I'm God's lonely man." But it's not entirely Bickle's fault that he's lonely. According to existentialists, human existence is plagued with anxiety. According to Heideggerian existentialist philosophy, we are thrown into the universe with no instruction to discover purpose in our lives. Humans, on the other hand, are not objects. We have an essence that is distinct from other items. Heidegger refers to it as Wesen, which translates as existence in German. And it is Wesen who forces a person to confront their own existence. Anxiety arises as a result of our struggle to find purpose. And Bickle's nervousness manifests itself in his uncomfortable social encounters. He tries to approach a young lady working at a concession stand, but she rejects him. He tries to date Betsy, a Senator Palantine campaign volunteer, but she rejects him. He doesn't have meaningful relationships with his co-workers. Bickle transforms his uneasiness into wrath as a result of these rejections. He starts training out, buying guns, and fantasizing about assassinating the senator. Because we, as humans, are thrown into this world, there is only one way out: accept responsibility for our actions. We are not constrained by moral, religious, or political beliefs. Even if we are forced to accept such thoughts, we have the ability to determine our own path. However, Bickle refuses to accept blame. Rather of pondering what he did wrong with Betsy, he blames all women. Instead of helping his community, he expresses his misanthropic opinions. Senator Palatine is shown in the film as the one guy who has the potential to improve New York City. Even still, Bickle holds him responsible for his failure with Betsy. His rage at the state of the world clouded his judgment. And his anger eventually erupts into violence. Bickle's freedom, freeing Iris? Bickle refuses to accept responsibility for his actions throughout the film. He does, however, accept responsibility for one thing: the underage child prostitute Iris. Iris is persuaded into prostitution by her pimp Matthew, Sport. After failing to assassinate Senator Palatine, Bickle vents his wrath on Iris' pimp, killing him and releasing Iris. According to the existentialist, freedom is a commitment to law, a self-binding law to oneself. However, the law acknowledges responsibility for one's freedom. Because human existence spans time, this law is applicable throughout a person's entire life. And when Bickle frees Iris, his life is fully liberated. Isn't he? At the end of the film, Bickle survives the firefight and is acclaimed as a hero for saving Iris, despite the fact that it is ludicrous. The existentialist, on the other hand, considers human existence to be ludicrous. Our nature has no specific design, and the natural world has no specific purpose. We must confront this absurdity in order to live a meaningful life. This ridiculousness is demonstrated by the local media's portrayal of Bickle's violence and wrath as deeds of courage. Despite this, the media is unaware of Bickle's attempted assassination of Senator Palantine, his death of an armed robber, and other crimes. Bickle keeps his inner feelings to himself and revels in his hero status, accumulating newspaper clippings of his heroic activities. Bickle appears to have found meaning in life after liberating Iris, appreciating the silliness of the universe while accepting its shortcomings. However, when he drives away in his cab, he nervously glances in the rearview mirror, hinting that he will erupt again one day. He is not truly free. The environment around him continues to irritate him. On the other hand, who can blame him? What could be crazier? Bickle or this ridiculous society we live in? Thanks for watching the video. Don't forget to like the video and subscribe to the channel.